Welcome back to another week of box office. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Make sure to like, sub, comment, and follow me on Instagram. And Juliet performed to 99% last week and 930K and 100% and 1,035,427. So this was a much needed win for Anne Juliet. Again, it's not struggling at all, but if it didn't get back into the $1 million club for the summer, I would have been a little concerned. It's doing 9s and 8s, but it's pretty much doing okay. Last week we went over heavily how Anne Juliet is doing and how it's done in 2025, but it is having a pretty solid year, and it had a bit of a weak month in May and June, but again, I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon, but it definitely is showing signs of fatigue, of aging, but this will not be closing this year. Could it close next year? Yes, but I think it would have to have a pretty bad year. So at the earliest, I see this closing in January of 2027. Buena Vista Social Club, 96% to 100%. And 1,123,502 to 1,200,685. Cabaret, which is closing in October, had its best week in months, 93% to 98%, and 913K to 1,166,265. Death Becomes Her, 94%, and 1,255,805 to 98%, and 1,458,242. So this was also its best week, and it's making blockbuster numbers. Gypsy, 61% and 816K to 66% and 858K. So it is proving that this was a good business choice to end Gypsy. Hadestown, 97% to 100% and 692K to 754K. A much needed win for Hadestown. I think this was a big deciding week, as 2025 has not been their worst performing year, but it's been a pretty moderately okay year. Again, since May, they've done pretty lackluster numbers. I do not think they will close because I don't think they've done that bad in 2025, but it is justifiable. It is justifiable enough for them to close, but I think as long as they stay with a 7 or a 6, they will be fine. Though the more they do a 6, the less likely that it's going to be around for many more years to come, and the more that there is a risk that it could close. Again, I think as long as it has a 7 in front of it, it is fine. It can have the occasional 6, but if it can maintain that 700K high range and 800K, that will set it up very well for the fall. I think it's been its worst year yet, or maybe it has. I know that was 6. But it definitely has had some tough numbers since May. And again, we'll see what happens with it. Hell's Kitchen, 90% both weeks and 889K to 953K. So as I expected, it went back up to what it was doing. Just in Time sells out, and 1,287,450 to 1,327,585. Maybe Happy Ending also sells out, and 1,341,836 to 1,347,800. So it's doing banger numbers. Moulin Rouge, 93% to 96%, and 908K to 1,084,588. Expect this to be the next one to close, as this has been its worst performing year, although I know that they've gotten Ty Diggs to come in next month, but I just can't see how this will be here a year from now, and if it is, it has to be the last year, because it's just been losing money like crazy. Mincemeat did slightly better, 96% to 97%, and 668K to 720K. 6 had a much needed win from 84% to 84%, and 659K to 741K. Again, 6 has had its worst year in 2025, but because it is such an inexpensive production to put on, and because it's recouped its investment, I don't think this is going to close anytime soon. But this will play a factor into producers and theater owners taking a closer look at how much time this show has left. Arguably, it has done pretty poor this year, but I don't think it's done poor enough that it would close. Stranger Things did slightly better, from 77% to 83%. and 980K to 1,066,267. And with the new trailer dropping, hopefully it will see a boost in ticket sales. But for me, this seems like it's a pretty big disappointment. Sunset was a mammoth of a final week, selling out, and 1,974,733 last week, and 2,481,018, so ending on a massive high. Gatsby 89% to 96%, and 947K to 1,042,433, which was a much needed win for Gatsby. I was getting a little concerned that it wasn't doing $1 million, but it made it, even though it was in the very low $1 million club. And then The Outsiders sells out, and 1,157,679 to 1,207,053. So those are the grosses. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, sub, and comment, and make sure to have a look out for Moulin Rouge and probably 6 and Hadestown kind of on the burner right now as the next potential shows to close. Peace.